You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers today, but we've got Brian with a B.
Hey, Ryan. It's Brian with a B.
What's up?
Just calling in to thank you for the video watching tips. I did go back and watch Pat, the palate cleanser, Bryant, and I started to understand a few more things about what separates receivers from one another. Although now that he is officially nicknamed palate cleanser, he's probably going to be a future Hall of Famer.
I know, right?
So I had an idea, though, for wide receivers. I'm still not in love with really any of them.
Sure.
So let's take Darian Porter, the 6'3" cornerback that was a converted wide receiver, and then just convert him back to wide receiver because he can run a 4.3 40, and then we're good to go.
Sure. Why not?
Anyway, he's one of my draft crushes just because he blocks more kicks than anybody else. So he'll probably just end up being a special teamer, but he'd be fun to have. Anyway, I'd love to hear what other people's draft crushes are. So, keep the calls coming. Also want to put a plug in for the Packernet Draft Predictorama contest. Right now we have 0 submissions, so we can only go up from there. I don't even know where it is, as I'm not on the social medias, but Ryan, if you can give a shout out and let people know where to find that, we'll get a little fun competition going. All right, everybody, go Pack, go.
Yeah, I'll have to, I got to find that myself and then try to get that out and promote it and whatnot. Been thinking about, there's a lot of stuff I'd love to do, and it's like, we're just freaking out of time, so, everybody's going to have like a day to get on that, as opposed to having as much time as I wish people would have had. But, if you want to engage, then we'll have a little mini contest, I guess. But yeah, very excited to hear what everybody's draft crushes are and whatnot. I'm looking forward to kind of hanging out with you guys, like I said, over on the Substack. I'll definitely have that going one way or another. Whatever I'm doing, I'll make sure that that's up. So I saw I did get a couple free subscribers, so I don't want to be a liar to you guys. Also, and again, this is mostly for, I've had to go back and reference it several times because I forget my opinion. Somebody's like, oh, they drafted, mocked Michael Williams to the Packers. I'm like, I don't even remember what I thought. So all my thoughts are there over on the Substack. That is not on the free tier, like the conversation or the chat will be. I think it will be. But if you are a subscriber on there, then you'll be able to get all the notes and everything, and plus all the notes that I mentioned from the Beast Draft Guide will also be in there. So it'll be a little bit of a handy guide. I'm hoping to update that. I don't want to make too many promises here, but I'm hoping to update that I don't know, today or tomorrow, and then throughout the draft and stuff, I'm going to be trying to absolutely do nothing but do the podcast and grind through prospects. These are going to be sort of the third round and beyond type guys, with the plan of being not so much for the podcast, because we got so much to talk about with the guys that we do draft and everything, plus, whatever else we do on there. But I'll be audio recording myself watch people, so it'll kind of be the same thing. I'll do it, transcribe it, and then we'll be able to have those same similar kinds of notes. So I'll have my opinions on all these different prospects, and if you have any interest in checking that out, you'll be able to do so as well. But yeah, Brian with a B, if you want to start pushing that out there, share it in the Facebook group. You've got my blessing, and if there's anything about it needs approval or whatever, I could talk to my wife about it. I don't have much more than you do as far as access to sharing it. I've only got my own personal X account is about it. I can't really share a link through audio, but we'll see what we can do in the last 4 48-ish hours. Not even that. Beer Cheese Benny, what's up?
Ryan and Packernet.
Yo.
It is officially the week of the draft. It's Sunday here. Happy Easter, happy Resurrection Day. He is risen. In honor of the draft coming up here in Green Bay, I have a little song.
Okay.
It is a remix of We're Not Gonna Take It.
Sure.
So, here it goes. Goody's not gonna draft him. No, he ain't gonna draft him. Goody ain't gonna draft the guy you like. He might draft a receiver. He might draft an edge rusher. But he's not gonna draft the guy you like. So get over it. There we go. I had to do that. I was actually waiting for...
I'm embarrassed to tell you, and ashamed to tell you, that I had low expectations for that song. That was actually pretty solid.
Very long time to sing that song until draft week. I had to wait. It's just like, you can't do it too early. So I had to do this, and I hope this gets played before the draft. Guys, if you're going, man, please post it on social media because I can't go. Ryan, I would go if I lived in Wisconsin, but I don't. It doesn't pay for me to go and pay for a flight to go to Wisconsin for 3 days. It doesn't. It's not worth it. I can't say it's not worth it. It probably would be worth it, but look, flights are tough. They're expensive, but I hope everybody has a great time, and I'm just going to be living vicariously through everybody. Maybe I'll do like a little reaction video on X, of the pigs. So follow me at Beer Cheese Benny, and if you love the Brewers, follow me too. And if you love NASCAR, like I've said before, I know this is like a shameless plug. It's NASHoles, N-A-S-Holes. All right, that's my podcast I got with my buddy. He's a diehard NASCAR fan. He got me into it, and I would appreciate the subscription on YouTube and the follow on Spotify and follow us on X. My buddy that started it, he's actually in a wheelchair. He was in a forklift accident, and the reason I started this podcast with him is because he struggles with depression and stuff, and so like this is something that he can look forward to every week with me, and just for him and I to do, and he's become a great friend of mine, and he would really appreciate it. He's been getting down about our subscribers and our views and our watch time, so help us out, please. See ya. Happy draft week.
Yeah, it's a bit of a grind, man. It's you can certainly expect to have not a lot of love for quite a while, but just my only recommendation to you, and of course, obviously encourage everyone to check it out and whatnot, but don't even think about that. Just do it religiously, no matter what. Don't make any excuses. Keep doing it over and over and over. Take little chances like you just did to promote your show, and just one at a time, one more subscriber, one more viewer. Listen to whatever feedback you get so you can make minor changes, because it can make a big difference as far as who wants to listen and who doesn't. Make sure you do that quickly, because a lot of times somebody will listen, and if they don't like it, they're not coming back. They're not going to think to check it again. They'll be like, oh, never mind, that show sucked. So, but yeah, man. Hopefully that works out for you guys and whatnot. What did you say before that? I know you said you'd go to the thing if you could. I get it. I understand. Definitely looking forward to seeing what people put on social media. I think it'll be cool to kind of get a taste of the area and whatnot. I mean, I'll plan to be there on the first day, so I'll probably be able to report on a lot of that. But as far as like during the draft and all that, I'm also just curious in general what the feedback's going to be. I saw something about some Detroit guy was talking about, yeah, I think we could probably get the draft back pretty quickly here because it was such a resounding success. Like, Green Bay's going to be a failure. It's terrible there and all that. And it's like, I'm sorry, but I don't think there was a worse draft anywhere than Detroit. I know Chicago was a big success. I know that Nashville was huge. Vegas is Vegas. I mean, I can't think of every single draft and how the reputations went, but I didn't hear a single good thing about Detroit. Not one. I didn't see a positive image, hear a positive story. There was nothing good. All I heard is there's really nothing to do. It was a complete and utter atrocious failure. And if they ever get a draft again, I'll be shocked. Freaking idiot.
Hey, Ryan, it's Garrett from Southern Illinois.
What's up?
After listening to last couple of weeks of podcasts, you and Clayton, sorry for the squeaky voice.
Yeah, that
you
happens.
and Clayton
Puberty.
seem to fall on polar opposites on some topics, which I find interesting. I kind of feel like you guys are like podcast parents to me, and
sorry to confuse you.
feel like I'm having to choose my favorite parent on this, and I guess it's not a hard choice. I would come to live with you, Ryan, because I know that you cook barbecue a lot, and
Well, I appreciate that.
There's going to be a lot of
Clayton says he has
chicken
steaks,
nuggets,
though.
and
Yeah.
we're going to get to hang out in the basement and
Yeah.
do fun stuff and play video games. And if I go live with Clayton, I'm probably going to get put to work pulling weeds for his landscaping business and subjected to eating vegetables and
Yeah.
probably being forced to get a haircut like a faux hawk like him. So I'm choosing you, Ryan.
Thank you.
And being funny, I seriously do fall in alignment with a lot of your opinions on that, especially like with Shedeur Sanders. I get where Clayton's coming from on that, but I still feel more strongly and convicted that there's a better way to go about it than what Dion did. So just let you know, you still rule number one, Ryan, especially in opinions when it comes to football. So Clayton is a second, but somebody's got to be first. So you're a first.
Well, I'm ashamed to say I didn't hear what the Shedeur or the whatever Sanders take was that Clayton had, but I mean, it's whatever. I was expecting it to be like draft takes, so I was like, ooh, this is gonna be spicy. I was like, to be honest, I don't really care about Shedeur Sanders. I mean, it's got really nothing to do with me. I just didn't like the way his dad disrespected a dude who came into their house and was, I mean, I get sticking up for your guys, but saying F this guy, probably not the best way to go about things. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's an interest. I mean, the Shedeur thing in general, I think, is interesting just because it's, is he a top 5 guy? Is he a second round guy? I don't even know if he's QB 2, 3, or 4 at this point. There's talk about Dart. Like, I talk about it on tomorrow's podcast, but it's like going through some of the notes. It was like, oh, the Saints are really in on Dart. And then it was, I forget, some other team is, the Giants are really in on Dart, possibly in the second round. And there's a big fight over Dart. And it's like, is anybody interested in Shedeur Sanders? Like, the Saints have reportedly been like, no, we are not drafting, like, period. Not just our first round. Like, we are not drafting Shedeur Sanders. And the Steelers, it's like, well, the coach, Tomlin, seems to like him, but I guess they had a meeting and it didn't go super great. And then we find out rumors that it's like a bunch of teams don't even have first-round grades on him. Now, all it takes is one team that likes him at 13 or something to take him. But, yeah, it's changing quick. And to be fair, I haven't watched Shedeur Sanders once this year, but I did watch him 2 years ago because he might have had to come out last year. And I liked him. I thought he was actually pretty decent, and I felt vindicated when all of a sudden he starts getting hype as like a top 10 guy. I'm like, see, he's pretty good. And then everybody remembered that he wasn't good and they didn't like him anymore or something. I don't know. And I am fully convinced that the attitude is a part of it, and his dad is probably a part of it as well, which I think can be a positive from an owner's standpoint of like, oh, we're going to sell tickets and it's going to be exciting and flashy and cool. But I think from a running a business and instilling a culture standpoint, coaches and GMs probably less excited about Shedeur Sanders. But again, I didn't catch the specific Clayton take, so I don't exactly know what we're talking about. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We got Brian with a B again.
Hey, Ryan. It's Brian with a B.
What's up?
I just want to throw in my dark horse pick
Yes.
for the Packers' number 1 selection
Do
prior to Thursday. So we've been talking a lot about wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I love a number 1 wide receiver.
Yep.
Cornerbacks, defensive line.
Yeah.
But we never know what Goody's going to do. So it's always going to be something opposite of the popular pick. Right? So I think offensive line
Sure.
is a sneaky first-round need.
I agree.
So, and I think that because they are not going to pay Rasheed Walker, like 100%. This is his last year. He's been solid, but he's average.
Well, I think the issue I always have with that kind of a take is that, I mean, I could probably agree they're not going to pay him top tackle money, but why wouldn't they pay him whatever he's worth? You know? I mean, I guess the argument could be if the rest of the NFL would pay him as the top tackle, then the Packers won't, but who's going to pay him top tackle money if he's not worth it? And if the rest of the league thinks that, then I guess he's a top tackle. Why wouldn't we think that the Packers would be one of the teams that thinks that? It's kind of like the Quay Walker talk, where it's like, he needs to be gone after this year. Well, he doesn't need to be gone. He just needs to be paid whatever it is he's worth. You know, not every contract has to be like top of the market contract. And I think with Rasheed Walker, I mean, it'll be a big paycheck because he's a starting left tackle. There's a baseline minimum for that. But he also brings with him a lot of value as a left tackle. I don't think it's out of the question to try to bring in competition to replace him, but just saying outright that we wouldn't pay him whatever it is. I don't even know what top tackle money is these days, but 19-20 million a year or something for Rasheed Walker. Maybe that's not enough. I think that's about what we gave Elton, and that was like guard money, and that was several years ago. And again, I went in on I don't know exactly where you stand on Rasheed. And I would generally agree that I don't think he should be paid as though he's a superstar. And that's the thing. I mean, he doesn't have a lot to go on to argue that he should be deserving of that. Because I'm sure they're going to look at Pro Bowls and All Pros, and as much as I generally don't like that, it's a question of what can you bring to the table to demonstrate that you've deserved this massive contract. I think he's deserved something, and I think he has some value to the Packers, and I think the Packers would be willing to pay him a certain amount. The only reason they would not bring him back is if he refuses to take that certain amount and other teams are willing to pay him an absurd amount, but that's complete speculation, you know what I mean? On top of that, the issue is we just drafted an offensive tackle last year. They kicked him inside to guard, but it would just feel like 2 years in a row we're trying to replace this tackle. First year was a complete failure. Again, that may not be actually true. We drafted him to be a guard, and he's going to be a guard, but I don't know. It just I get what you're saying from the standpoint of they're going to do something surprising, and offensive line fits in great, but it within the bucket of what is possible and would piss me off. But I don't know, man. I think they are going to offer him money. Whether they come to an agreement, I don't know, but I don't think they just let him walk. Because he is the starting tackle. I mean, they obviously like him to some degree, you know what I mean? Can't imagine being like, "Hey, we just drafted you and we like you so much we're going to make you our starting tackle and we're not even going to really offer any competition because you're doing such a great job. But also, we can't wait to get the heck out of here, and we refuse to pay you no matter what." I think they kind of like him.
Left tackle, and in free agency, he's going to get way overpaid by some team.
Yeah, that could be.
For sure. They already have an open competition announced between him and Jordan Morgan this year, even though he's been the established starter for a while.
I think that lasted about 8 seconds, though. He played mostly at guard pretty much the entire time. And again, it doesn't really bode suit. Again, maybe they'll do it. Maybe they are desperate and they got Morgan and they're like, I don't know, this Morgan guy's. But you wouldn't give up that easily if you really wanted him to be your left tackle. You know what I mean? Like they really didn't try very hard at all to give him that left tackle spot. I think they were kind of open to it, but I think he was always intended to come in as a guard, which makes the pick a little bit more annoying. But it feels that way. You drafted a tackle in the first round and you gave up on it after a couple of weeks. Screw this guy, kick him in a guard, or maybe we'll just cut him. But then again, to do it 2 years in a row, I don't know, that would just make me kind of sick. But
and you think about the money in the offensive line room. We got Elton's already getting paid.
Yep.
Banks is getting paid, and Zach Tom is going to get paid,
mega paid,
big time. So, I'm just watching Goody's press conference here, and he's talking about how he likes to have kind of a mix of, these contracts in each room where you have some, established veterans, but you also have some rookie contracts. And so right now they got Jordan Morgan as a rookie contract in that room, and unless you think Jacob Monk is going to make it as a starter, I think they need more.
Yeah.
So my dark horse, number one pick, first round pick for the Green Bay Packers is Josh Simmons, Ohio State. They had him in as a top 30 visit, and probably checking on his medicals, but he could be the best pass blocker in the entire draft. And if the Packers like his medicals at 23, I think that's where they might go. Let me know your thoughts. Go Pack Go.
Well, my thoughts are I hate it. I need to come around to it because you're right. It is a very distinct possibility. And I shouldn't hate it. I mean, having a dominant offensive line is a really, really important thing. There's no question about that. I'm just concerned, because it's I don't know how much more you can go up from here. I went over that whole thing, and I think you're calling in before I went over it, but I don't think there's a huge amount of upward mobility there as a pass blocker. Now, if you end up getting a top 5 pass blocker, that's also, if you can get Zach Tom on the left side, that's fantastic. But that's also kind of a pipe dream. And maybe that's a stupid thing to say. I mean, every draft pick is a pipe dream. Every whatever. But the point is, you can get a guy where there's a range that he's going to be beneficial. You can get a defensive tackle that's elite, and that's amazing. If he's good, that's still great. If he's decent, then that's disappointing for a first-round pick, but we'll use him. At left tackle, he's either great or that was a bad pick. Because anything less than that, we already have it. But you're right, Josh Simmons is a phenomenal blocker. I was just starting to dig through, again, these SIS stats, and I was kind of just looking through it, and I that stuck out to me, what you're saying right now. Calvin Banks is also very good, but he's long gone. But if you look at the blown block rate for pass blocking, I don't know exactly how they measure that, but you know what a blown block is. For run blocking and pass blocking, the only tackle out of the 23 that they have here who had a 0% blown block rate was Josh Simmons out of OSU. When you look at their total points system, they've got their rating for passing and running. There's 2 guys that have scored a 99. There's Miles Hinton of Michigan and Josh Simmons of OSU. So SIS, according to their stats and data, clearly has Josh Simmons. I shouldn't say necessarily clearly, but if I had to estimate who the best pass blocker was just based on the stats that they give, then Josh Simmons would be the top pass blocker in the class. By the way, another guy to keep in mind that's kind of in that range, late first, early second, who actually is probably the most balanced if you're just looking at the ratings, with a 97 pass block rating and a 97 run block rating, Josh Connerly Jr. out of Oregon. So this whole thing is about prepare yourself. So I agree. We need to prepare ourselves for what's not expected, and offensive line, although not completely not expected. There is I keep saying this, and I never remember who the people are, but there is a Packers content creator that every time I look, they're doing a mock, and they have him taking Josh Simmons every single time. You are either a prophet and a genius or just weirdly obsessed with this idea. I don't understand. I can't tell if it's just that you hate Rasheed Walker or you're just positive that this is what's going to happen. I'm confused.
Hey, Ryan, TJ from Alabama.
Yo.
Seeing that now the Lions president is kind of chirping a little bit.
Oh, that's what I was talking about.
It was kind of, cute and all, and Ben Johnson pandering to the Bears fans. All right, whatever. Lions say, so now Lions president's kind of chirping and peeing on the Packers. It's like, all right, it is now time for us to re-express our dominance
Yeah.
and figuratively pee on all their lawns, or even literally. I'm okay with that as well.
Sure, we could make
But
a
I think
trip.
it's time for the Packers to retake ownership, show the little brothers that, okay, you had a nice little run, but Lions, maybe don't lose in the first round after you just got the number 1 seed. Bears, maybe even make a playoff game before you start chirping.
That'd be cool.
Maybe have a 4,000-yard quarterback for the first time in history before you start chirping. So I get it. It's just pandering to the audience and stuff like that. But it still shows a little weakness from my view of if you want to go there, just because the Packers ended up third for 1 year, that you all start chirping and stuff like that. I think it's time. I think it's time this year. Let's just show our dominance, clean up in the division, win the damn thing, and let's reestablish our dominance. That's what I'm thinking, Ryan. That's it. Thanks. Bye.
I agree. You know what I'm ready for? I'm ready to finally find out that the offensive coordinator for Detroit was the entire reason, as well as the defensive coordinator, I guess. Let's give him that too. The entire reason that team was any good at anything. And now that he's gone, the Lions really struggle. However, Bears fans, calm down. It doesn't do anything because the only reason that guy was as good as he was is because they had the offensive line and all that stuff. And on top of that, nobody can win with that dysfunctional bullcrap organization and that garbage quarterback that they have over there. So even that doesn't pan out for you. That would be nice. If I had to choose, I don't know. I have a hard time saying let's let the Bears have some fun and the Lions go back. It kind of does need to happen, though, doesn't it? I don't want to give the Bears anything, but I feel like the Lions do need to shut up now. Maybe that's unfair because they've suffered so much, blah, 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 all that stuff, but that's your role in this division. You know what I mean? Like, you're the team you're the Browns, dude. And yeah, the Browns have had remember they had a little bit of a flare up where they were kind of doing stuff and they went to the playoffs and it was cute and adorable. And then they went and got the guy that does some inappropriate stuff and worst trade in history and everything went downhill. They're just back where they're supposed to be. And I just think the Lions, congrats, you had your fun, but you are the joke of not just the division, the NFL. You're a laughing stock. We all collectively. I wouldn't even, it's not even like we laugh at you. Like Bears, Lions, or Bears, Packers, Vikings. I mean, we don't necessarily stand up for you either, but I mean, we kind of give you a pass this whole time, which is also part of the reason this bull crap you guys are getting all aggressive. Like we've pretty much like cut you guys slack this entire time. We haven't been talking a lot of trash. You're just like little brother, like, oh, they're doing their best. I wouldn't worry about it. I think it's time, man. I think you had your run and it's over. And if that means the Bears get a little better and maybe they see a playoff here and there or something, I don't know. I think maybe that's what needs to happen. And I don't want to have to say that, but I just said that, and that's where we are. But I agree either way. It's time to just be the best team and tell everybody else to just shut up.
Hey Ryan, TJ from Alabama again.
Yo.
Hey, you were talking about the Wonderlic just a little bit ago, and I have no idea if the NFL's still doing it or they're doing it
Apparently
under some code name that's different than the Wonderlic, so they can still get away with it. Yada yada yada. And I also don't know exactly what was in the Wonderlic. So bottom line, I'm completely speaking out of my ash right now. But with that said, I mean, I completely agree with you that it's obviously incredibly important. But I'm not sure I think it's regardless of what the Wonderlic does, I really don't know if I care that much if the person is intelligent from a same standpoint as it is to become a surgeon or something of that nature. I really want a football savant, not necessarily somebody who's super intelligent. I mean, I can't remember who is the Rhodes Scholars and, the super intelligent people who, crush college and things like that. The whole NFL would be filled with Yale and Harvard guys or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's not given saying Yale and Harvard's the most brightest tools in the shed either. Sure. But, so I'm not sure it's really intelligence per se, because, I'm not sure Lawrence Taylor who is the greatest defensive player I've ever seen in my life, is somebody that I want, operating on me kind of thing.
Well, not only that, even if he is a genius, I can't imagine he was super smart when he was all cracked out on the football field. You know what I mean? No offense, but it's a matter of record.
Or Ray Lewis. I've heard him talk. I'm not sure he's the most super smartest person in the world, but they're obviously football savants. So if there was a way to measure football smarts, I would be all in on that. How well do you process the concepts of football, which obviously takes a level of intelligence. But it's not necessarily the same thing as an IQ test, because there was, again, the NFL has a few Yale, Harvards, what MITs, all that stuff, but we're sure as hell not littered with it. And so I'm a big fan of the concept, but I would love to see how can you measure football intelligence as opposed to just random intelligence, blah, blah, blah. And again, I fully realize, completely talking out of my rear end, maybe that doesn't make any sense, but you said something, it kind of clicked with me, so I wanted to kind of comment to your comments that 100% agree with the concept, but is Wonderlic the right thing? I don't know, but I definitely want to know about football intelligence. All right, that's it. Thanks, Ryan. Bye.
It's a pretty good follow-up to something that you haven't heard yet. It's on tomorrow's podcast. Brian Gutekunst kind of talks about projection a little bit, and they talk about sort of this arc. And you realize that, athleticism really is just it helps you project outward. So here's what you're deficient. Everybody's deficient. Obviously, your first-round pick, you have less deficiencies. As you get later, there's more deficiencies. I think that's really the biggest difference in prospects. It's also the biggest difference in why guys drafted earlier tended to succeed, because there's less to project. But for example, the 40-yard dash is mostly stupid. Let's just call it speed in general. There's not a one-to-one correlation clearly. And you could say the same thing about intelligence or anything else, but it's also not useless. So the point is, when I look at a guy and I say, boy, I think we gotta, maybe agility would be a better thing in this case. He's not doing this right on the football field, and we have to teach him to do a little bit more of this. The question then becomes, can they do it? Do they have the amount of speed that you need to be able to pull that off? Do they have the agility that you need to be able to pull that off? If so, then you say, okay, well, I know they can do it. It's just a matter of we have to teach them. And then, yeah, there is still a football element to this. The reason Harvard guys aren't littered in the NFL is because they suck at football. Right? There's still a football element to this. There's so many different things. But I think intelligence ties into that. And as far as Wonderlic, Wonderlic or IQ or whatever, it doesn't really, it's not really like a surgeon test either. What you're really trying to test for, and I think, and again, if there are better tests, that's great. You want to get the best possible test. It actually reminds me of that, what was that, R5 or R7, whatever the stupid test was, that was supposed to test like your reaction speed. And it was a big laughingstock and all that stuff, and I think it was a laughingstock because people hate tests to begin with. And so when some rumors came out, which I think the rumors were untrue, but it was terrible. It was a PR disaster. I think the company either went underground or has just disappeared. But the point is, that's not a bad thing to test for. If they're implementing it wrong, fine, but let's continue down that path. I still think that's a worthwhile thing. The thing with intelligence, what you want to test for is, first of all, your ability to comprehend, your ability to retain information, your ability to process with speed and accuracy, verbal reasoning, vocabulary, pattern recognition, visual spatial stuff. These are all things that they're not directly football, but they correlate to football. I have this massive book, and this book is filled with plays and terminology. You have to read this, comprehend this, and remember this, memorize this from cover to cover, and then implement it on a football field in split seconds. So as things are happening in split seconds, you have to be able to reach into your memory bank, which it has to actually be remembered to begin with for you to be able to pull it out, and then move, send that signal to your arm, and your arm to be able to then throw to that certain person. It's really superhuman what football players can do. And so, no, it's not like if you score high on this test, that means you're a good football player. That has got nothing to do with it. It's just a question of, I think that there's a lot more that you need to do here. Do I think you can handle it? And I think, like a lot of tests too, maybe it's not so much about if you have a high score, then you're super great. It's more of if you are well below this, I'm concerned. Just like 40 time. A really fast 40 is great, but what I'm really checking is if you run a 4.62, that's what scares me, right? Or I mean, if you're kind of slow, I can deal with slow to a point, but there's a cutoff. And again, it's a sensitive topic and nobody wants to talk about it, but I can deal with a guy that's not a rocket scientist. But there's a certain cutoff, like with IQ or whatever, where it gets below a certain point, and I don't know if you can do this. And maybe you're just such a physical freak, and like as a pass rusher, I can be like, there's some certain concepts I don't know if he's going to be able to grasp, and he's never going to sort of understand this. But at the same time, I know that he's like a freaking gorilla, and as soon as I open that cage, he's just going to rip that guy's face off and go kill the quarterback. We can deal with that. But I think it's a tool, and I think what Gutekunst was largely talking about is we like when these guys take tests, and it because it helps us fill in the gaps a little bit. If we have concerns, we can go to the tests and determine these things. If you didn't do well in school, that could just be, well, I mean, either way, it's bad. I mean, I don't know what's worse, not applying yourself. And again, that's another thing that the tests can't test. I mean, you might be great at taking a test, but if you don't apply yourself, if you don't read the freaking book, you're not going to comprehend or remember anything. But again, all of these individual things, I need to know. That's why we ask about your personality. That's why we ask about your study habits, but that's also why we want to know about your intelligence. And again, I know it's a sensitive topic, but it's real, right? Some guys are genetically freakish in terms of their, the way that they're built, their fast twitch muscle fibers and all these different things. And, the oxygenation of your blood. I don't know how certain people are the way they like. Michael Phelps was literally like designed in a lab to be able to swim. Other people are built in such a way that they're built to drown. Might not be nice to be like, sorry, you got stubby arms and legs and, you're not going to make the swim team, but it's just the way it is. And there are certain types of human beings that excel in football. And it has to do with character, it has to do with your physical build and ability, and it has to do with your mental ability. That's emotional as well as intellectual and all these things. They all matter. And we know that, but we pretend that the intelligence one doesn't matter, right? Your emotional stability matters. Your drive and determination matters. How good of a person you are matters. Your character, your height, your weight, your vision, your injury history, your speed, your explosion, your agility. How about intelligence? Nah, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Come on. Can we just be serious for a second? Can we freaking be serious? So I'm with you. If this is not a good test, let's find a better test. But again, you're generally, we don't need to dig super deep into your general intelligence. But, if we can just get a grasp on like, look, if I give you this book, this big, massive book, how quickly can you consume it, retain it, and then apply it? And whether it's the book or coaching instruction or what, that's it. And if we can do that without digging into how good of a mathematician you are, that's perfectly fine. I don't care. But I do at least need to know those basic things about your mental acuity.
Hey Ryan, it's Drew from Green Bay.
Yo.
And, I just wanted to talk about some places around here that you can eat at and stuff. So
Okay.
Everyone talks about Kroll's, but
Yes.
if you're willing to like drive a little bit, it's still.
Now, I'm going to be honest. I looked at the pictures of Kroll's, and I understand it's an institution, and it's one of those things you got to try sometime. Didn't look like the best thing in the world. I kept looking at their burgers, and maybe people just for some reason choose not to put cheese on their burgers or something. Every single burger, it's freaking me out. It looks so gross. It's just a burger patty with pickles, ketchup, and like. We're in Wisconsin, so I can't imagine you don't put cheese on. I'm scrolling right now, and I've seen probably 5 burgers, and not one of them had. And they got like Skyline chili or something, which is not really a Wisconsin thing. It's like a pile of meat on noodles, I guess, which is fine. Here's another burger, no cheese, and the bread looks kind of crumbly and weird. I shouldn't talk like that. Like I've been to some crazy. By the way, Wisconsin, it's kind of like Illinois has great food. Chicago, great food. Wisconsin, not necessarily, but it's kind of niche or whatever. and I've said this probably several times, one of the more underrated things that Wisconsin does well is burgers. And I've had some weird ones, and maybe this is one, and it's great. I don't know, but it's one of the most unappealing looking burgers I've ever. Actually, there might be a little cheese right there on the corner. Do they hide it? I don't know. It's something about it. Give me some other recommendations. How about that? It's probably going to be too crowded, anyways.
From Green Bay, but there's a place called Al's Hamburger, and they have pretty good burgers. That's where a lot of the locals go.
Sure.
There's also my stepdad and my little brothers, actually. They're in commercial construction.
Yeah.
And they just finished this place. It's in the back parking lot of Doozies, right by Stadium View and the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And they, in the first,
Al's looks pretty
three
good.
floors. The first floor is a pizza shop, and then the second floor is like a Western style, like Tex-Mex. That's called like Cowboy Max. And then the third floor is like an event hall called Fire and Fur Event Hall. So I'm guessing the event hall will be closed off and all that, but and it did just open a couple of weeks ago.
All
right. The service was really good. I went there. I tried the Cowboy place, and this bowl that was really good.
Ooh, barbecue.
It is about like $20 a person, so it's a little pricier. But they had like this drink that was a Crown Royal blackberry lemonade.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. And then I would recommend if you go there, like check the pictures out. Go in the bathroom, check the pictures from the bathroom. They're kind of funny. Yeah, and there's different ones on the first floor and second floor. But, and then, I mean, if you want a cheaper place, on the east side, it's like fast food, but it's kind of like a Dairy Queen. It's called Zesties.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think they have good food. It's not like cheap. You know, it's going to be more than like McDonald's, but, you know, if you want some place to bring the whole family and not spend like $150, $200, the Zesties, get some ice cream. They have really good like cheese curds and stuff like that. Their burgers are really good. Yeah, I mean, I love Zesties. But I think that's only on the east side. You look it up on Google Maps, but yeah, just a couple places to check out. And all of a sudden, with the players, all of a sudden, I just want to say all the defensive tackles have gone up like crazy, and it sounds like we might not even have a chance at one. So hopefully we get Derek Harmon. I took an Uber driver. He said that Derek Harmon was here last week. I don't know if he got it mixed up with Walter Nolan or not, but that'd be some interest.
Did you get cut off there? Yeah, I haven't looked at the meetings in a while. Zesties, the ice cream looks pretty good. I haven't looked at those meetings in a little bit of a while. I'm kind of just, it's funny, Gutekunst was talking and he was like, at this point it's probably better to just take the week off because at this point we're making more mistakes than we're actually fixing anything. And I feel like I'm kind of to that point where it's like we're overanalyzing everything. We need to just kind of step back, wait for the draft to happen, and then analyze moving forward. But yeah, it's why, I mean, like I just said, or maybe it's on tomorrow's or whatever, but there's a rumor of, the Jaguars might actually do something crazy. Instead of taking Mason Graham, they might go Ashton Genty, or it could be Derek Harmon. Like, what? Derek Harmon, who was supposed to be picked like in the 30s, is now going to be picked at, like, what are we doing here? What are we frickin' doing? So I don't know what's going on. It's getting crazy. And hopefully that is by design, and hopefully some of it happens, because it's not fun to be like, I know how this whole thing's going to go. You want to be a little surprised. So going into it saying, I don't know what's going on, it's kind of a fun thing. I will say, unlike normal, like just normally visiting Green Bay or even on a game day, it's going to be so unbelievably crowded. Like game day times 10. Maybe not quite that crazy, but game day times a lot. I'm not really planning on touring Green Bay much. In fact, all these places are going to be so unbelievably overpacked and probably overpriced. The plan, I think, is going to be we're going to eat on the way up. We're going to try to load up because there's no food or drinks allowed inside. And then we'll head over to the area and kind of cruise around, just see what's around. If anybody wants some snacks or something, they got food trucks. We'll probably try to find out what food is in the area, more easily accessible, although I doubt anything will be, because, again, there'll be a billion people there everywhere, so anywhere there is to get water or food or something is going to be a mile-long line probably. But we'll be there, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, and then we'll book it out of there. And we're just going to try to get out of Green Bay as fast as possible, and then if we want to grab food on the way home, we probably will. But as far as like touring to the east side or whatever to check it, that's more of a maybe on another time kind of a deal. I think some of these are inside of the area, like Kroll's, maybe even Cowboy Max. That looks like it's right behind where the stadium is going to be, kind of. Well, maybe not right behind. Because I think, well, maybe kind of right behind, because it's over here in this area is where the setup is going to be, I think. And so, yeah, it is going to be over there. But, yeah, maybe depending on how big this little walk-around area is and how many places are inside, we might check some of that out. I don't think Cowboy Max is going to be in there, or Anduzzi's or whatever, but if it is, maybe we'll look at it. But, again, the plan is probably going to be to load up on food, so we don't really need a ton. My wife my wife has female tendencies. She is a female, and I've noticed that women have this weird thing where they constantly think that either we are currently living in the Great Depression or there will be some kind of a cataclysmic event in which if we don't have food immediately in our pockets, we're all going to die. If I was going to the draft, I would walk around with nothing. We need to bring a stroller, we need bags, we need snacks, we need food, we need all this. And so my wife was kind of ticked that it turns out you can't bring any of that, and if you bring a bag, it has to be clear, which is like, I mean, just one step below the Nazis, I think, people that ask her to bring in a clear bag. We don't have kids that need strollers, but we need a stroller because I learned after several years of marriage, strollers aren't for kids, it's to carry all the crap around. So, yeah, we're going to be like backpacking through the frickin' Alps, walking through there with all our junk. I wonder if when the kids move out, if I can be a free human being again that just walks around areas without having to carry stuff and push strollers. You know what I mean? I bet we're going to be 70 years old, kidless, and I'm still going to be pushing a stroller around just so I can haul around my wife's snacks. Like, go stay the night somewhere. And it's like, well, we better pack for a month because I don't think stores exist, nor will I be tolerating any mild discomfort for any period of time ever. If I am thirsty, I demand an immediate sip of water. So, I'm sure we will be doing our best to smuggle in snacks, because everywhere we go, it's like, they don't allow that, and she's like, it's fine. Like, oh my lord. Oh my lord. And I'm like the rule follower, you know? It's like, look, they say you can't do it, just don't do it. It's like, no, that's fine. It's like, no, it's freaking not. So I will be trying to smuggle in all the snacks and everything, getting scolded and freaking arrested, trying to bring in hot dogs in my pants or something. This is why I don't go places, by the way. It's too stressful. I don't want to deal with it. I just want to walk around, you know, by myself for 10 seconds, be like, that's cool, and then just leave quickly without gathering things and people and loading things into a car and, you know, process. Everything's a process. So yeah, it'd probably be better to just grab a bunch of McDonald's, just slam a bunch of chicken nugs before we go in there, you know? If you see a guy walking around with a protruding stomach, just pumping sweat, it's me, and I ate 50 nuggets on the way in so that I wouldn't need to stop and eat anything. Just meat sweats. Got the nug sweats. All right, let's take a break, and we'll see what we can get done here. We'll be right back.
Hold on, Ryan. Beer Chief Benny here.
Hey.
I've been thinking about the draft, dude. It's freaking stressing me out, man, because I'm like, man, I don't even know who I want, really, like, the Packers to do in the first round, because there's so many guys I want. You know what I mean? I guess that's a good problem to have.
Sure.
But in my opinion, dude, Michael Williams, if we could get him, if we could trade up to get him, that would be unbelievable, man. I was watching tape on him, and my goodness. Dude just has a great sense for the ball, where the ball is, and he just makes plays, dude, and he's quick. So if we can get him, I mean, I feel like our receiver, we can easily get a great receiver in the second round, like Trey Harris, yeah, dude, or James Higgins. But yeah, dude, like this is all stressing me out so much, and I just need this draft to happen so I can stop worrying about it and just start bitching and moaning about it. You know what I mean?
I get
but
it.
I probably won't because Packers are going to do something awesome. He's their draft, bro. In Green Bay, let's go, dude. We're building for the Super Bowl, baby. All right, see you.
Well, and that's why we try to fall in love with as many prospects as possible. Somebody's going to be really happy. Might only be one guy out there, but somebody's going to be really happy.
Good morning, Ryan. Mike Hebring, a.k.a. Packers Superfan.
What's going on, man? Been a while.
Ryan, just wanted to check in. I know it's been a while since I called. I've just been really, really busy with work.
All good.
But obviously, like everyone else, just excited as hell about the draft and can't wait to get up to Green Bay. I'm actually pulling out of town tomorrow afternoon with my camper and camping in one of the state forests
Nice.
near Green Bay and driving in every day. So can't wait to get there. Can't wait to see everybody. Hopefully we can hook up at some point.
Yeah, if you see me.
The reason for my call today is I was listening to the pod this morning, and Zach from Buffalo was on and had mentioned Shamar Stewart and the fact that he has a lot of trepidation about Shamar being the pick of the Packers, specifically in the first round. I just want Zach to know he is not alone.
No.
I am certainly in that camp. Shamar Stewart is the one guy in this draft that I have no interest in.
Yeah.
It reminds me of 2019. Rashawn Gary was the one guy in the draft I had no interest in. And
I think I was
know
the
what
same.
that feels like when that selection was made. So, yeah, I don't want to be up there Thursday night and have Shamar Stewart's name be called because I know my reaction's not going to be good. It's going to be very similar to what it was in 2019 when Rashawn Gary was selected. Now, has Rashawn Gary turned out better than I thought he would? Absolutely. I was wrong to have that feeling.
Same.
Rashawn has turned out to be a much better player than I assumed he would be. However, he certainly isn't lighting up the league, and he's certainly not elite.
Right.
The other thing is wide receiver. I'm with everyone else. I have this feeling. I think corners a need too, no doubt. But wide receiver absolutely has to be the pick in round one or early in round two. If they wait till 54 to get a wide receiver, they will not get an impact wide receiver. That's just my opinion. But I think all the guys that are going to make impacts in the league this year are going to go long before 54. I would say the cutoff is probably somewhere around the mid-40s maybe. But nobody
You all are going to get Trey Harris, and you're going to damn well like it. All right?
getting to 54. That's going to make any kind of real difference for the Packers, especially this year. And with Christian Watson out, we've absolutely got to draft a wide receiver.
No.
I would take one at 23. You know I'm a big Jaden Higgins guy. I was a Brian Thomas guy last year. If they'd have just made that pick, we wouldn't be in this position. I'm all Jaden Higgins this year. I'd take him at 23, and I'd sleep good at night. If they can trade down a little bit and get him, that's great. I love some of the other guys, too. Abuka would be fine with me.
Yeah, he's got a part 2 coming up, but I've heard a lot about Ibuka, and again, I don't know how much of it is real, but there was, I think, somebody had mentioned there's 3 guys they're really in on, Tedero, McMillan, Ibuka, and somebody else that they, quote-unquote, had their eye on. I'm less interested in Ibuka after going through the second or third time or whatever the final time, but I would not be mad if they made that pick. I do think Tedero McMillan is gone. I am definitely, like you, skeptical if they wait at the end of the second round, and I think the Packers are too. I think that's where maybe this, I don't want to say desperation, because when you ask Gutekunst, he tries to play it cool or whatever. There's just something, feels like there's something a little different. Maybe that's just in my head. I don't know. But, yeah, I just think, well, I mean, look, the first round's the first round for a reason. I mean, you know, you can find difference makers later in the draft. There's no doubt. It's just, it gets harder to do. You got guys that just don't have that upward ability, and that's why first round guys go in the first round, because they kind of check a lot more boxes. This year's tough because you don't really have everybody that checks all of the boxes, height, weight, speed, and whatnot. But I think there's some good players, and we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I there's something about if they could like trade back and almost like pick swap in the second, as an option. I don't know who could even do that necessarily. You'd have to find a team that's behind us in the first and ahead of us in the second to do that. But if you could kind of have 2 picks closer together later in the first and earlier in the second, it feels like you could do really well. Because there is that range between like 15 and 50 where there's just like a lot of really good players in there. Or just jump up in the second like we've done in the past, like with Watson and whatnot. But there are a lot of good. I mean, you mentioned, Trey Harris and Jack Besh. These are guys that are solid late second, possibly third round guys. I think there are. The other thing too, when you talk about, one of the, not that I've been quiet about it, but one of the guys that I would be over the moon about for multiple reasons, but a guy like Chimere Dike, because he has that ability to absolutely fill in for Watson. Not as like a number one receiver, but just like in the meantime, while he's gone, blazing fast speed. And I don't know exactly where he goes, or Ty Felton for that matter, but obviously I prefer Chimere Dike for reasons. That would be one of my favorite picks if they ended up making that pick. But I mean, there are options to kind of fill in for Christian Watson in the meantime. So, for example, let's say somehow they did get Teteroa and McMillan, and that doesn't fix the speed problem. But fortunately, you can find just speed guys, and maybe that's unfair to those guys to call them just speed guys, but, you don't need anything else. I just need you to be really fast. Can you do that? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, Ryan, Mike again. 3-minute monster got me there.
It's all good.
I was just saying, there's really any of those top-notch wide receivers I'd be happy with. Obviously, that would be the ultimate dream.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that's going to happen.
I don't either.
But any of those guys in that top tier,
I will say though, once we get past 10, if he's still there, I'm starting to get a little jumpy because I don't know exactly at what point the Packers move up. Probably past like 15 would be more realistic. If Teteroa is still there, and Will Johnson for that matter, not that I'm as excited about him, but that's where you start to wonder like when do the Packers move here? Because I feel like it's coming.
Fine with. But again, Jaden Higgins is my guy. I would just take him at 23.
Yeah.
If not, if you can find a dance partner and you can trade down a little bit and still take him, I think that's the best case scenario.
Sure.
But I like Trey Harris too. I like Jack Besh. I like a lot of those guys, but they're all going to be gone by 54. If they wait, especially till third round, all those guys are going to be gone.
Yeah, third round they will.
They got to do that in round 1. Get that wide receiver in the fold, and then you can go from there. I mean, there are plenty of options for D-line, edge, and even corner. Corner, you're probably going to have to go later on day 3. Get a couple flyers, bring them in, throw them in the mix, and I have confidence Jeff Hafley will figure it out. And no, Jair's not going to be back, guys.
Yeah.
I keep hearing people say that there's a potential Jair is going to be back. Jair is not coming back. That's not happening. So I do think corner is a need as well. And if corner was the pick at 1, whether it be Jahdae Barron or Trey Amos or even Will Johnson, although I'm really worried about his injuries. Benjamin Morrison, for me, is just off the board because of his hip injuries. Those hip injuries are very serious injuries.
Sure.
So he's just off my board. But, yeah, corner, I would be okay with corner. They're probably going to have to trade up in the second round then to get that wide receiver because by the time 54 comes around, all those wide receivers are going to be gone. There's just too many wide receiver needy teams in that top of that second round. So they really got to jump on the wide receiver. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Hope I can hook up with you, Ryan, up at the draft. Can't wait to get up there. It's going to be a good time. I'm out.
Yeah, well, I know I've made myself sound like a very crotchety person, which I do on purpose. But certainly, if you see me or whatever, feel free to flag me down. I'll shake your hand and whatnot. We'll do the thing. I look forward to hopefully coming across a couple of you up there. I don't know. Again, I don't know who's going day one. It sounds like you're going to be there all the days, so we'll probably be booking it out of there by like 5 o'clock or so would be the plan. We'll see. I mean, if we're having so much fun, we might end up staying or whatever. We might leave earlier. It looks like it might rain and people start crying and whining. It's like, if everybody wants to go, let's go. I don't freaking care. But that's kind of in my head. The tentative plan is to be there from about noon to 5. And so keep your eyes open if you're there around that time. We should be there. It shouldn't be hard to find me. I'm toting around a bunch of kids, probably be pushing a stroller. So going a little long, but we got one call. Let's just go ahead and close them out. Beer Cheese, what's up?
Hey, Ryan. Beer Cheese Benny here. I just want to talk about Gutekunst.
Okay.
We got a lot of people out there that are big Gutekunst haters, and I know you're a Gutlicker, and I pretty much am too, but, here's the thing about Gutekunst. Is people want to say all this and that, his drafts have been bad. But you cannot say that he hasn't done what he can to find a solution to problems.
Sure.
All right? Exhibit A, we needed a safety. You got Xavier McKinney. Exhibit B, needed a running back. You got Josh Jacobs. Exhibit C, Brandon McManus needed a kicker.
Let me cut you off for a second. What's interesting about that, you bring up a good point, because he does seem to very aggressively attack issues. And you say, well, what about free agency? Exactly. So let's think about that for a minute. This year, he didn't fix anything in free agency. I mean, a couple little dabbly things here, but nobody's aside from the one guard spot, nobody's really confused about I guess you could say Hobbs is probably going to be a starter as well, but these are not major moves like they were last year because there were none. So what does that mean about this year? Potentially being a little bit more aggressive or something? I don't know. Although we do have less picks, so maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But there may be a little bit more urgency going into it is all I'm saying.
He caused the kicking problem? Yes. But then he fixed it. And then, you got, all right, linebacker play wasn't too great. Drafted Edgerrin Cooper, great pick.
Yep.
But every GM freaking makes mistakes in the draft. I mean, it's going to happen, but at least with Gutekunst, he can admit when he's wrong and admit, okay, yeah, we need to fix this. I didn't do a very good job. Sure. And that's why I love Gutekunst, because he freaking fixes the problem, bro. We can sit here and talk about the draft picks and all that, but you just need to trust Goody, man. And I think he's in a good position for this draft to be able to fix the problems that we have by drafting. I really do. I think this is a good opportunity for him to kind of put our team over the edge. And you know what?
What?
He knows probably that Jair's gone, so he got Hobbs. I mean, right. And he'll probably more than likely draft a corner. Maybe. I don't know. I can't say probably more than likely, but... And then the O-line situation, Myers not good enough. He drafted him. He's like, all right, well, let's get rid of him, and then I'll go get the dude from San Fran. I can't think of his name now. Banks, is that his last name? And then we'll move Elkton to center. Come on, man. How are people not giving him credit for this crap? Seriously. It's truly amazing. But, anyways, we're 2 days away. Let's go. I can't wait. I've been talking to my coworker. He's a big Broncos fan, and we're just every day we're counting down the days. 2 more days, 2 more days. Let's go, come on. And I'm just really excited to see who everybody picks and see the Packers pick, and we can talk about it on Packernet. It'll be awesome. All right, everybody have a good day.
And that's the thing that I would largely like to say to a lot of the more negative or whatever fans. Don't allow yourself to miss out on how much fun this is, because this is a lot of fun. It really is. This whole process is fun. Let it be fun. Don't get so caught up in enjoying the process, but then hating the actual draft because I convinced myself that there's only one way to completely fix this. And either you do the thing and we go to the Super Bowl, or you don't do the thing and we're destined for eternal poverty. Just don't get caught up in that. We'll continue to have fun. Enjoy the draft. Enjoy the announcements of the names. Enjoy the investigations. Certainly give yourself a minute to be disappointed. I mean, that's part of the process, no doubt about it. We all just sit around and we put our head in our hands. And, what are you doing? Good, jeez, oh me, oh my goodness. You know, just kick and scream and cry and whine. And then take a breath and calm down, and then we'll talk about it, we'll investigate it, and then we start getting excited about it. But you got to go through the full process. Because being annoyed is just part of being a fan. We all go through the part where we're annoyed and we think that sucked. All fan bases of all stripes and sizes, and then you move on and you start enjoying the pick a little bit. Some of you guys skip that last part where you enjoy the pick and you get excited about it. And I think there's this belief that it's like, well, that's intellectual dishonesty, and I'm an honest person. It's like, yeah, but the problem is you weren't honest before when you convinced yourself that this fake thing that you built in your head is the only truth, and anything outside of that is a complete failure. We made that up, right? We didn't know, so we made something up, and we kind of had fun doing that, and that was great. But now we have to kind of go back through it and rethink something. And sometimes you can't get on board with a pick, and that's fine. That'll happen. But these guys were not picked because they actually suck. There's a reason why they are where they are. So go through the whole process. Spend the off season being irrationally fanny, because that's what fans do. You can still retain a little bit of your decency and common sense and all that, but don't just get so hung up on the negative. It's annoying all of us, and it's unhealthy for you, and it's no good. So come along for the ride. All right, I'm out of here. You all have a good rest of your night. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.